Hello there. Today we're going to go over some changes I've made to a new chassis build, and we're going to try them out at the Ultimate Indoor RC track in Kemah, Texas, and we're going to check out some of their drift car racing. Alright, so here's the build that I've been working on the past few days. It's a 3D printed chassis with a pretty significant degree of angle on the slider, and we've got some Injora tires. They're mud terrains on Injora stamped steel wheels. It's got a 3D printed skid, sliders, and Injora links are front lowers are 41 and the uppers are 29.5. And then in the rear, we've got 78mm lowers and 64mm uppers. Now, I wanted to show you the only thing I've done to modify the links that I've actually done a manual bend to make them double bend high clearance links, and I did those at a point where it matches the drivetrain to get maximum clearance here. The shocks we're using are LCX internal shocks. These are, I believe, 39mm, so they don't have a ton of travel compared to some of the builds I've done, but it works pretty well. I'm running the Furatech Mini Komodo V2. That's paired with the Furatech transmission, and then I'm running the Dinky RC ESC, which is over here under the wires. Very small ESC for those who are not familiar with it. That's the ESC there. Very smooth operation, programmable. You'll need to purchase a Wi-Fi link device that'll pair with that, and then you connect to Wi-Fi and you're able to program it from your phone. Up front, we've got the Reefs RC 99 Micro, and the ESC allows you to put out 8.4 volts, 5 amp on the BEC, and that is the preferred voltage for this particular servo to get maximum speed and power. For this chassis, I customized a battery tray that fits right in here, and I mounted everything with screws to start with to make sure it lined up, and then I took the screws off and did a little bit of plastic welding to make sure that it didn't go anywhere and reducing weight on the truck. And let's see, you can see some of the poor plastic welding here, just using an old soldering iron tip, and the plastic melts together. It's a pretty strong connection. Of course, there's the magnet mount, fly sky receiver for the Noble, and the rear body mount. Talking about axles, we've got a Muse axle up front. So this is the Muse ISO axle, and this particular one is the nylon variant for lighter weight. And the rear we have the stock SCX24 axle, and I've utilized the Muse rear link adapter here, and I've added in additional screws for the limiting strap, which is just a rubber band. When we're talking about these axles, being that this is a Muse front axle and a regular SCX24 rear axle, there is a width difference. You can see it there. Looks kind of funny, but I wanted to try this out for comp runs. You want to have some good stability and turning angles in the front, and then in the rear, if it's a little shorter width, then it should make it easier to clear gates without sacrificing too much stability on side hills and obstacles. For inserts, we're using the Injora silicone inserts. You got good sidewall support. They're a little stiff right now. I'm gonna try to modify it to cut some of those inner supports out, give it a little more squish. And in the back, we're running the same thing. I'm thinking I might switch these over to standard inserts because the back is very light and there's not really a need for the additional sidewall support. And just to test it out, I've printed this out of some unique PLA. It's like a multicolor PLA, and it snaps right on. I also printed it out the same body using PLA Aero from Bamboo. You'll see that body in the running clips. Let's take a look. On these mini crawlers, the weight distribution is extremely important. So we're here trying out the downhill capabilities of this truck, and you'll see the limiting straps, or these rubber bands that I've put on there, really assisting the truck in not lifting up off of the obstacle. Even though we fell off the rocks there, I'm going to call that one a success. The truck performed as expected by not extending the suspension, so the rubber bands, or in this case the limiting straps, did their job. One of the unique things here at Ultimate Indoor RC is the varying types of terrain on this course. We've got slick rocks, we've got man-made rock surface that's extremely textured. There's this mortar or concrete that's also very grippy. So each tire is going to have advantages and disadvantages as you move throughout the course. This upcoming clip here shows the ability of the truck to slide over objects with that angled skid, and we're going to test out the articulation of the suspension as we make this right-hand turn. It looks pretty good. In this section of the course, I've set up a gate that's used for competitions that aligns with the gate that was in last week's competition, where I struggled with my other trucks to just make that little climb right there. And with this truck, the weight, the tire combination, it doesn't struggle nearly as much. But I did notice that it struggles on some areas of the course that were easy for my other trucks during the competition. So each truck is going to have advantages and disadvantages in certain situations. I've selected two different clips here to give an example of how the angled skid makes a difference when climbing over obstacles that have a ledge. I understand it's two different obstacles, so it's not a perfect example, but you'll see how that red truck hung up on the rock and couldn't make it over, whereas with the angled skid, the truck, once it's past the front wheels, the skid allows it to slide over the rock easy because it's angled downward, also giving it higher clearance once it's past that skid. Although this truck has some overdrive applied to it, the rear tires in this case have more traction than the front, and the truck flips backward instead of the front tires pulling it up over the obstacle. So another item to work on after this testing session. Something you can't see from this view is that on the other side of the rock that the truck is on, there is a significant drop-off that leads into a valley. And if you fall off to the right, you would flip over and fall into that valley. So the turning angle that is achieved by these Muse ISO axles is very important in some of the portions of this course to avoid catastrophe. We'll wrap up the crawler section of the video here, and I'll leave you with some drifting clips here at Ultimate Indoor RC in Kemah, Texas. If you're in the Houston area, come on out to Ultimate Indoor RC, do some rock crawling and enjoy some drift car action. If you're into drift car racing, this is definitely the place to be. Check them out on Facebook, Ultimate Indoor RC.